for a woman to kind of make herself into a more permanent role in a man's life, one way to do it is, in quotes, be useful to him. I mean, the word useful sounds bad, but it's the idea of working yourself into his life in a way that he depends on you for.
Yeah, we've heard this before, becoming essential.
Becoming essential, because once you're essential, it would be a big loss to them in more ways than one to not have you anymore or to get rid of you. And it makes you much harder to replace.
Welcome to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Here's your host, Marcus.
Welcome to another episode of Secrets of a Sugar Daddy, the #1 sugar dating podcast in the world, where we pull back the curtains on the good and the bad. And Lily?
The frigid stories of sugar dating.
Well, sometimes, but the shocking stories of sugar dating. I mean, it's a little cool here in Arizona, but
I know.
nothing like the rest of the country.
I was complaining about it
Yeah.
the other day because we just came back from the Caribbean and the weather was beautiful. It was perfect.
You were in Grenada? Is that how you pronounce it?
The weather was delicious and delightful.
Delicious.
And then I was complaining about it to today's guest, and he immediately sent me photos of bicycling in snow. And I went, okay, I guess I shouldn't be bitching.
Yeah, we have a sugar daddy from Colorado, and definitely the storms are hitting there. I have friends from the Midwest, the Chicago area, the North Dakota area,
and
the
our
Minnesota
poor
area.
Canadian friends.
Oh, all of our Canadian friends are just getting killed. But you live in Canada. What do you expect?
Yeah.
It's going to be cold this time of year. Anyway, before we get to our guest, let's just remind everybody really quick. Our party is coming up, Sugarpalooza 6. We're so excited. I have 40 tickets to this private suite. We're going to have our own bartender. That's so cool. I'm really excited about that because I'm not the best at pouring drinks, and they seem to get spilled everywhere, and sometimes they're a little too strong.
Well, we had our private bartender at your country club for Sugarpalooza 5.
Yeah, for the mixer.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it was for the main party, yeah.
Yeah, it was so great.
Yeah, so now we've gotten spoiled, and we're going to have a private bartender there. Anyway, it's beautiful. The owner suite, it's a combined suite from what I've heard. So it's 2 suites into one, and it's going to be a great spot to see Shakira, and that's in June. I think it's June 21st, 22nd, 23rd. It includes 3 days, 2 nights of accommodations, a mixer the night before. We're going to have a pre-party at my house, which is a lot of fun. The food is always amazing there. But then when we get to the arena, it's all you can eat, all you can drink.
Yeah, I'm going to downscale the appetizers at your party because there's going to be so much food at the venue.
But Lily, here's what happens. The after party.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
The party bus brings us back to my house, and then we all have the munchies by that time.
All right.
And we don't know how late that thing's going to go.
I'll get my minions on it.
So you
chicken salad sandwiches for all.
Famous chicken salad sandwiches on a little Hawaiian bread, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody has been talking about those. Now, we've had them now twice. And people come just for her chicken salad sandwiches. They're so good. You're not going to want to miss.
Somebody was telling me that,
6.
is it Bethany Frankel is always reviewing chicken salad around the world, around the country, wherever she goes. I think it was Blue Eyed Princess told me I need to send her my recipe.
Yeah, it was in a chat I saw. But anyway, June 21st, 22nd, 23rd, get those applications in. Just go to our website, secretsofasugardaddy.com. There's a party tab. And then if you're a sugar daddy, we need sponsors. The more sugar daddies, the better, the bigger the party can be. The more maybe airfare sponsorship that we can contribute to some of the girls coming from long ways away. We want to kind of help them defer their cost to get here. But it's free for them except their cost to get here. So sugar daddies, get in touch with us at info@secretsofasugardaddy.com or Instagram, Patreon. Patreon's really happening, Lily. It's a lot of fun. The activity has increased. We've got a lot of new members.
Yep.
So, and I tell you, and some of the most beautiful sugar babies. We have the eye candy of the week. I love those.
Wait till you see next week's.
I have seen next week's. Oh,
she might be one of the hottest chicks I've ever seen in my life.
Even Alejandra's in the room. She doesn't have a mic, but she is nodding her head yes. We've seen pictures of her we're going to get a lot of comments once that post comes out. So you're going to want to see those. So go to patreon.com/Secrets of a Sugar Daddy podcast, sign up. What it does is supports the show. Even if you're on there as a free member, we do provide a lot of free content. The tiers only start at $10 a month. Like for $10 for the entire month, you get to unlock the entire site. It's a bargain of bargains, and it's a lot of fun. There's a community chat. You went crazy on the community chat the other day. You posted all kinds of things like, what's your favorite cologne? What's your favorite gift you've gotten for Christmas?
I know. I was trying to come up with Christmas ideas
Yeah, it
for
was really
Trucker and myself.
Yeah, and you end up getting
More importantly,
a lot of great comments on that. So we want to have you be a part of our family. So go to patreon.com/Secrets of a Sugar Daddy podcast. If that's too long for you to remember, it pops up anyway if you start typing that in. But it's on our website. It's at the bottom of this episode description, whether you're listening to it on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever. All right. Anything else before we get to our sugar daddy? It's in the house.
no.
Okay, we have a return guest. He's always a favorite, and he has lots of great things to talk about. He hasn't missed a party since he's been coming to them. Welcome back, Sugar Daddy Jay. How are you?
Good.
I heard you just bought a plane.
I did. I just bought a plane. It's quite a flex when you tell people that.
All right? Yeah, I just bought a plane. It's
That's
really
what I want to
cool.
hear about too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
now you started taking flight lessons because of a sugar baby you met, right?
Exactly. Yeah, there was a sugar baby that I met back in the June party of last year.
Right.
And she was into aviation, and I have always wanted to do it, but for one thing or another, I just kind of felt like, well, I have nothing else that is exactly getting me excited except for maybe this thing. So I started taking flying classes. And so my dream is to be able to fly from Colorado to Scottsdale, to California, to Utah, and just have the flexibility and freedom to go all over the country and explore.
That's really cool. Were you nervous about the flight lessons to begin with, or you've always felt really safe during those? Or
Yeah, the first one where you're just kind of on a discovery flight, they're just trying to sell you on the idea. It is a little bit nerve-wracking because when you're in a commercial plane, you don't look out from the front. So when you're trying to land, you pretty much have to aim towards the ground, and your instinct, your body is like, no, that you're gonna die. So you just don't want to go down. You don't want to descend. So you have to fight against that. And then eventually it's like a skill driving a car or riding a bike. You just eventually develop the skills, and then it gets more and more comfortable. So I still have maybe a couple of months of different stages of things I have to accomplish, and then I'll be able to get my license.
was it an expensive process to go through the training?
Nothing like buying a plane, though. I can tell you that.
Well,
It's
I'm
pretty
sure
much like
people
buying a
would be
house.
interested. So what does it cost to get your pilot's license?
So, each time you fly, say an hour and a half, including the plane rental and the instructor, it's about $300. It's a pretty sizable investment. And you have to kind of do about, say, 70 hours of flying. So it's a substantial thing you have to invest in. You don't have to buy a plane, but then what happens is that, after you get your license, then you have to figure out how you can still be able to fly. A lot of people, they share a plane or they get into a club where they have blocks of time that they have. But obviously, if you have the choice, you want to have your own planes, like having your own house, right? You don't
Now,
want to share.
did you do your lessons here in Arizona?
No, I did it in Colorado, and that's the reason that I've been there more this year as opposed to, because last year I was here all winter, or a lot of it.
Because wasn't it Arizona's Sugar Baby Allie that first got you interested in aviation?
Yeah, I didn't even know her alias, so that's kind of good
Allie.
to know.
I got a cheat sheet
You
here.
had to look it
Exactly.
up. I didn't either.
Yeah, she did get me into it, so I'm very appreciative of that, and I've actually mentioned that to her quite a few times. It's kind of opened up this whole new world to me, and I feel like this is something that I'm going to pursue for decades, not just like a side hobby or whatever.
Does she have her pilot's license yet?
She's kind of doing the same thing in tandem, trying to get the hours, and both of us are kind of on the cusp of what's called a solo. So, you do your lessons, and then at some point, you're going to have to fly the plane yourself. So that's obviously the big test or the big whatever benchmark. And then once the instructor or CFI decides that you're good enough or you're comfortable enough, he'll send you up there. And I had 3 or 4 cancellations because of weather, so I'm ready to do it. And I think she's pretty close as well. And then after that, you do another bunch of lessons on navigating and whatever, and then you take the big test. But yeah, the solo is the big part because obviously that's the goal, is to be able to fly the plane yourself to go wherever you want.
Now, would you have in a small plane like that, you could just go just all by yourself with no co-pilot?
Yeah, you can totally do it by yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think most people kind of do that. It's their way of, a lot of YouTube videos out there of pilots recording their flights, and they're usually by themselves. And, obviously if you have somebody else who's also a pilot, then it's great because you have like a backup.
Yeah.
But for the most part, a pilot should be able to handle everything himself or herself.
I saw this crazy video. Of course, there's lots of crazy videos with airplanes and private pilots, but it was this guy and his girlfriend. They were just in a little Cessna.
Mm-hmm. That's what I have, a Cessna.
Yeah, and so they're flying, and all of a sudden they look to the left, and there's a cat that was on the wing. Yeah, I'll have to send you the video, and they're just like, "Oh my god!"
I saw that.
Yeah.
Like the cat had crawled into the plane.
Yeah,
and somehow it's like crawling out.
And they're up in the air. This cat is on the plane. Yeah.
What did they do?
Well, they landed and got the cat off safely.
Yeah.
No, it was a
like,
happy ending, but oh my god.
I think it's the same video, but it's like kind of
sure
like
it
these
is.
experimental planes where it's like half is open.
Yeah.
So it's not like the cat is outside the canopy or whatever. It's actually like crawling, So I think I know what the video you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's still trippy though.
Right. They kind of look over like, oh my god, there's a cat on the plane.
I thought it was one of those AI generated things you see on Instagram, where it's like a totally fake monster clinging onto a wing, but that's real. Yeah.
No, this was kind of before AI came about. I think the video's been around for a while, but I just remember that one distinctly going, that would be kind of shocking. I saw this other one too. The girl was flying and her whole canopy just came open up in midair, just popped open. Yeah. Something happened to the latch or something, and the thing just. But anyway, she ended up landing it fine. So that's why I was asking. Was it scary to you? I've taken a couple of flight lessons. My ex-wife bought me one for my birthday.
Oh, cool.
A little Piper.
Yeah.
And it was the funniest thing. The guy took us up, and I was doing really well because I've always been interested in aviation, so that's why I'm asking a lot of questions. And it's something I think I would like to do, right? And so I'm doing really well. And he goes, man, you've got pretty good control of this. Let me show you one of the techniques that we have to do to pass to become a pilot. And he goes, okay, you have to bank at a certain angle and you have to keep the altitude without it dropping. So you got to, he was telling me how to adjust the speed and everything to do this bank. This is the funniest thing. So my wife is in the back. Him and I are in the front, and my wife is sitting right behind us. And I start doing the bank, and I look back, and she's turning green, and she's like, "Pull up!" She was about to just throw up.
Oh,
that's pretty funny.
Yeah, so I had to pull out of the bank, and I was like, eh. But
maybe you're more ready for Top Gun than her.
Yeah. Well, I actually wanted to be Top Gun because in the 80s, I got a nomination to go to the Air Force Academy.
That's right.
There was only 2 of them available in the whole state of Texas, and I got one.
Wow.
And I failed my eye exam. I had one bad eye, my right eye. I've known it since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
But I've always cheated on the eye exams. And I went to an Air Force base to do the physical when I was a senior in high school, and they did the dilated eye exam where they put the drops in. Well, I couldn't cheat with that one.
Can't get around that one.
They're like, you can still go, but you can be a navigator at the most. And I'm like, but I wanted to be Top Gun.
Okay, what does it cost to buy your own plane? And then where do you keep an airplane?
So obviously you can spend $50,000 to $5 million depending on the plane. So mine was about $500,000. And I didn't want something that was super old because you could get something like 1940s and you can find something for like $40,000, $50,000, but the thing is so old, it's like scary to fly. Obviously.
Yeah, you don't need that.
No. Or you can get a jet, then it's going to be definitely 7 figures, if not 8. But usually the first plane you get is not going to be a jet. Mine is a 2005, so it's not a brand new plane. And these days, if you want a brand new Cessna, you have to wait 2 years. So that was kind of a pretty good option, and it has the avionics it's more modern as opposed to old steam gauges, the dials. So it's before 2000, that was kind of the standard. And then after that, they kind of had screens, kind of like a Tesla. So it's definitely not too old, not too new, but a good starter plane. Yeah, I'd love to take you up there once I can obviously officially fly and fly down here. It'll be fun, you know?
Yeah.
You can do all the banking you want.
All right. So enough about that.
But wait, where do you keep it? Where do you
yeah.
keep an airplane in your
right
backyard?
Yeah. If I had a backyard with a runway, that would be the ultimate. So there's an airport near my town, and right now it's there on a tie down. And a hard thing is that you have to find a hangar for your plane. There are more planes than there are hangars. So that's the tough part, finding a place where, because you have to have the hangar be obviously wherever you store it be next to the runway, because otherwise how are you going to get it to, fly?
And you rent that?
Yeah, you can rent it or you can buy it. There has to be somebody or some building that's for you to, I guess, either rent or buy. And it's always in a short supply. There's like these wait lists, and it's almost like you have to wait until somebody dies to move up the list or whatever.
Wow.
So it depends on where, because I think if you go out to say like the middle of Idaho, you can probably, just build your own hangar and nobody would care. But if you're in a metro area, then it's going to be much tougher to find a place. So I've actually thought about Arizona as well, because there's different parts that Scottsdale is probably going to be harder, but let's say like, other parts like maybe the Tucson or something like that, they'll probably have more options in those places. So,
Yeah, maybe, I don't know, Mesa Gateway.
yeah.
I know Sky Harbor has a separate area where they have private planes or
Really?
small planes fly in and out. And the only reason I know that is because I'm from a small town 3 hours from here. And there's now a company, I think it's called Grand Canyon Airlines or something. And they're actually doing flights from Sky Harbor to my small town 3 hours away. So it's just like an hour.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
Pretty
yeah.
interesting.
I mean, I have been
Look into it.
Yeah, I have been looking at just living in Arizona in general. The taxes are so much lower here. In Colorado, that hasn't gone above 25 degrees in like a week and a half.
Yeah, we have had Chamber of Commerce weather for the last 2 months. I mean, it has been 75 and no wind.
It's perfect.
It's just perfect.
It's perfect.
Now, it's a little chilly today, but...
It's all relative.
Yeah, it's all... You're like, what are you talking about?
I was in shorts.
Yeah.
You're listening to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Now back to the show with your host, Marcus.
All right. Well, we got to talk about sugar dating. It's been a while since you've been on the show. You've been to a couple parties.
Oh, yeah. The parties are absolutely amazing. If I can say anything about it, it is so worth the investment if you're a sugar daddy, because you're going into this environment where it's like 5 women to 1 guy or something like that.
Yeah, it's usually like a 4-to-1 ratio.
4 to 1, 5 to 1, and it is nirvana if you're a man. So I don't know why any guy would not want to be in that kind of, where a ratio where like women would probably, they'll come up to you, introduce themselves. It's like, obviously if you're in a regular world, you have to muster up the courage to go up to a girl to say hello. But when it's like 5 women to 1 guy, it's as favorable as you can get.
And it's very genuine and friendly. They're all so friendly and just with each other. They just love each other so much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the girls have kind of a special bond because they're all trying to figure this out. A lot of people on their own at the beginning. So therefore, they kind of have other people to bounce advice off of, to kind of know what to do, what not to do. I mean, it helps the girls a lot more, I feel like. And, the women, they're more vulnerable. They have more to worry about as opposed to a guy. So it's like for the women, I feel like they definitely get a lot of benefit from knowing other women doing
Well, and then they form friendships that last for the
Exactly.
rest of their life. I mean,
Exactly.
you've been talking to almost daily to somebody, Blue-Eyed Princess.
Blue-Eyed Princess.
That you met a few parties ago.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to her. A lot of the things I'm going to say on this podcast are based upon the conversations that we have every day. So she's in the East Coast. So when she's doing her commute to work, she would call me and I would just be like waking up, like my eyes are barely open, but I'm always looking forward to chatting with her.
What do you guys talk about?
Oh, just sugar dating. I mean, just literally my situations and the things that she kind of has seen. So we kind of got talking about the fact that, now that I've done sugar dating, long enough time, I obviously have situations that have worked that are continue to be working versus situations that have kind of just fallen apart and I just can't, whatever reasons, just don't seem to work out. And I thought that it would be a very good informational session for the sugar babies to know what are the things that if you have those qualities or situations, it would make it easier for things to be more doable in a consistent long-term basis. Because that's kind of usually what most sugar babies want is somebody that is consistent, that's loyal, that's reliable, and they don't have to constantly go out there every other whatever week or month to find somebody new. Because for them, it's a risky proposition. And it's also just not fun if you have to kind of start, constantly be dating.
I know a big topic among the girls is how do I find a consistent relationship or a sugar daddy?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of have chatted with Blue Eyed Princess and also just tabulated a little list of things that I've kind of found to have worked for me. Obviously, everybody's different, but at least I can impart my knowledge from my experience.
You know what? Before you go on, it's been a while. Give people a little bit about you. You are how old again?
I'm 52.
52.
I just turned 52.
Yeah, and you live in Colorado, but you travel a lot.
Yeah, I travel a lot. Last winter, I was here a great deal, just enjoying the weather here. I go to Europe quite a bit, and I've traveled to Europe with different sugar babies. And usually, it's not the first thing that we do. Usually, we have known each other for quite a while.
I would hope so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we have definitely spent short weekends together so that we know that we get along pretty well. And so, a longer trip and also being far away from home, not going to be catastrophic implosion or anything like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right. So what are some of these things that you have learned through your sugar dating the last year and a half?
Yeah. So I have kind of a primary person now. So the way that it's worked with her that I found to be really good is the fact that there is the ease of proximity. So she doesn't live very far from me. So it's about a 20-minute drive for me to see her. And so we see each other, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 times a week.
That often?
Yeah, that often.
She's sleeping over?
I sleep over there. She has a young child.
Okay.
So we spend time together when it works, but I'm still able to get over there and after her child goes to sleep, So
that's the definition of a girlfriend.
Kind of true.
Right, Lily?
Yeah. Is this one that we've talked about before?
Can't remember.
I don't know. I think I know who he's talking about, but I don't think we've talked about
Photos
her
of this
before.
one?
I think so. I think I've sent you photos.
Okay.
Oh, Marcus, you've met her.
Okay, it's the one we had.
It's the one. It's the one that
Was that a sushi place we went to? I can't remember.
No, it was an Italian.
Italian.
Yeah, that restaurant. It's a James Bond movie set.
It really is. Yeah, Alejandra and I went to Colorado in August of 2024, and we met Jay and his date at the time and had a great meal there. It was nice. Very fabulous place.
Oh, yeah, fabulous place.
Yeah.
I mean, the scene was just...
Was that in Boulder?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you see her very, very often. Do you have her on an allowance or?
I do have her on a pretty good allowance, and should I mention numbers? Or no?
Sure.
Sure, yeah, we like to hear them.
So
If you're comfortable.
I would say it's about $5 or $6K,
A month?
depending. Yeah.
What's
Nice.
it depend on?
I don't know, days of the month. Some months are longer than others, you know?
Yeah, okay.
Around there, I'd say maybe 5. And then I would obviously get her things on her Amazon wish list and just buy her a Christmas tree, buy her a bread maker, so things that I know that she needs, and it just would make her life a little better. And I would do Costco runs for her, with her sometimes.
Have you met the child?
Oh yeah, quite a few times.
Okay.
Yeah, and we get along pretty well. And I think the thing is that she is very cognizant and conscious about, she's aware that obviously I'm providing for her in a generous way. But what she also realizes is that she also is trying to be generous in the way that she can. Because obviously I'm not looking for somebody to treat me financially the same way I'm treating them. That doesn't make any sense. But the other person can treat you in a way that she can be very generous in how much that she's giving. For instance, she cooked this amazing Thanksgiving meal. She cooked this amazing Christmas meal. And in terms of us, sexually, she's extremely patient, generous with her time. And I feel that's where the guy, the sugar daddy, really feels fulfilled. And as a result, if the guy feels fulfilled, then he feels every reason to be generous. Mm-hmm. So it's a lot of times the imbalance happens, at least in my experience, is that it's easy for me to give. I mean, I click 3 or 4 buttons on my phone and send them thousands of dollars, right? I mean, we all know that. But for them sometimes to be able to kind of I guess, fulfill our needs, I have to be physically there with her.
Yeah.
So what I was going to allude to is that I have definitely met some really amazing women at the parties. The only challenge is that oftentimes if you don't live in the same city, then it makes it a little bit more another obstacle. Not to say it's impossible, because I know definitely guys that are happy to travel to different parts of the country just to, visit whoever if they have the time. I kind of see it from the perspective of weighing my options of what is the path of least resistance, what is the easier method. So if I'm seeing somebody already a lot and she's accommodating me very well sexually, then it's just more expensive for me to, say, fly to a different city to kind of obviously experience that. I mean, I'm not saying everybody is the same, but at the same time, she also knows that, we're not exclusive, and she knows that there are other people in my life. And I think that's kind of what she realizes as her way of making sure that she stands higher on the status, on the relative scale.
Yeah.
Did you guys meet on Seeking?
Yes, we did.
You
So
did?
I've known her for about a year and a half, since not this past November, but the November before. So we've known each other for a while. So therefore there's a good amount of trust and understanding. So it's not somebody that I just met 2 weeks ago.
Have you met her parents?
No, she doesn't have a super close relationship with her parents. Although you're going to think it's like a girlfriend situation. We're going to go.
Already do.
Yeah. We're going to go to New York, and she's going to meet my mom. And then she's going to bring her kid to meet her parents, because the kid hasn't met her parents yet. So that's in February. But with all that said, obviously, she is very accepting of the idea that, at least right now, we're not in an exclusive relationship.
Now, does she have other boyfriends or sugar daddies?
She does not. So
I don't see how she'd have time if you guys are getting
what I was
together
thinking.
4 or 5 times a week.
And I don't know how he has time to have other sugar babies.
that's the thing. I think it's a pretty smart move to kind of monopolize,
Suck up all your time.
suck up all my energy too.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm literally drained.
Take
in
notes, Alejandra. Take notes.
In every sense of the word, I'm literally drained, because, it's like if a woman monopolizes a guy's just sexual appetite, he literally will not have a need to go anywhere else. So pro tip.
Pro tip.
Yeah.
So I think it's the idea of being very generous to the sugar daddy that you want to have in your life. I know that sometimes there are women that kind of feel that they kind of see sex as a way to maybe get what they want by throttling it, by kind of, I'm not saying I know anybody here, but it's just, I have definitely had experiences where if a woman is not happy with me, she'll withhold sex. That's the opposite of what you want to do. I mean, it all depends on if the man has other options. If the man has no other options, or he's married, then obviously that I can see that as working, because you're incentivizing the guy to do whatever it is that she wants. But if the guy has options, then it becomes kind of you're almost mitigating your status. If there are other women in this guy's life are willing to offer him the sexual gratification. And even within that realm, some women are just way more either adventurous or willing to try things, or just being very patient. And that is, to me, a huge turn on when the person is willing to give in that way. Because ultimately, men are so much more driven as sexual animals, literally needing it every day if they have or wanting it every day, versus women, depending on the mood, I think. So if a woman is very generous to the man, then he is very, very fulfilled. Like I said earlier, then he's going to be very willing to be more generous financially and be consistent for that, for that sugar baby.
Yeah, I had an experience with the very first sugar baby I ever met back in 2016. Very first girl I ever met online. We ended up having a 1.5-year relationship, and there was problems. But people why are you still with this girl? I mean, she was fulfilling my needs, right? She was giving me the love and the sexual fulfillment. And then also, just more than that, it was like a complete experience for me. Yeah, there was some things that we didn't vibe in, and some issues that she had that I knew was never going to work out. But I stayed there longer and was more generous than I'd ever been, or ever I thought I could be, because she was taking care of me. And
Exactly.
really making sure. And she was very attentive about that.
Exactly.
You know, that was something that she never really forgot about me. You know, it wasn't just a one-sided, hey, I'll do this. Can you give me this? I need this. I need that. And it's like, this is getting exhausting, right?
Exactly.
Because I met other girls, so it's like, it was always something. They're just always needing. And they expected me to take care of everything. And then occasionally they would make me feel good, but those relationships didn't last very long. They get old real quick.
You're listening to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Now back to the show with your host, Marcus.
I heard this phrase that the best transactional relationships are invisible, which means that you're doing things for them and they'll do things for you. It doesn't need to be a difficult or uncomfortable conversation about one person not getting their needs met. Obviously, by the time you get to that kind of conversation, it's like, you know, somebody is not feeling happy about whatever they have already given and not getting back in return. So I totally agree with you there. You know, I think maybe it starts with the right mindset that if the sugar daddy is being generous, then you want to be generous in return, just in terms of a just reciprocal type of a way. But, you know, I think what's important is that, you know, you have to know that the guy is wanting to be generous to you, because obviously, like, there are a lot of guys that are cheap too. So
Yeah, they'll take advantage of the
take
situation.
advantage.
Right.
And they probably are just looking for like a one-time thing, and you just have to be aware of those situations too.
Well, that's where you try to filter out with your profile and your initial talks of what you're looking for, to try to filter out those people that aren't going to fit into what you're looking for on both sides.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Let's see, I want to try to mention some other things. Just in terms of the person that is my primary, we get along very well. And I definitely appreciate, one thing that I've kind of noticed with some of the sugar situations is that to criticize a man in bed is very, very bad.
Wait.
Primary person never does that.
Okay.
But I've definitely had situations where the sugar baby would kind of offer criticism in that realm. And I would say that...
There's guidance and then there's criticism.
Exactly. And it's probably a fine line, and maybe...
I don't mind guidance.
Yeah, because
I
like,
actually
you want to
prefer
know.
it.
Yeah, you want to know what they like.
Yeah.
But I think that there is definitely a difference between you're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
And I would say it's the same for women. If, you know, if a guy is criticizing a woman in bed, that is like the most vulnerable place to criticize someone. So I would say maybe it is like gender neutral, that, you know, this is not a place to kind of criticize. I've definitely been with enough women to know that I know what I'm doing. So therefore, you know, if somebody is criticizing me, it's probably maybe particular to that person's opinion. But at the same time, if you want something to work out with a guy, you kind of have to do it in a judicious manner, because you don't want to ruin things either. And compared to my primary person, yeah, it's there is definitely no, you know, in my opinion, there's no criticism. And I feel like there is also this subtle aspect where if a guy feels that the woman is enjoying it, whether it's maybe she might be emphasizing it a little bit more just to give the guy a
Faking it, you mean?
or at least like a little bit of a dramatic whatever, that kind of enables the guy to feel a little bit better about himself. You know, I think that goes a long way as well, as opposed to obviously the converse, which is like criticizing somebody. So I think it's just kind of emasculating if a woman does that, and then it's just takes away the motivation, and then you're just kind of left like, what do I do now?
Well, and that'll end a relationship really quick too.
Exactly. So those are the ones. I've definitely had some good relationships where that kind of happened once or twice, and it's just like, it just creates a very uncomfortable dynamic for a man. For him to not feel confident in bed, it's really takes the wind out of his sails, and probably in more ways than one. You know, so I feel like that's definitely one aspect that, you know, the sugar babies, if they knew that, it might be helpful for them as well.
I can't imagine criticizing somebody's sexual prowess while in the middle of the act.
I know you
I've seen
guys, I know I've heard complaints from Alejandra and from Lily about like, oh my God, you know, it was so bad or whatever, right?
Yeah, but you don't
But you, not in
tell
front of
them.
them. No.
You absolutely don't tell them.
Yeah.
Although my ex-husband, yeah, our sex life was not good. And it's pretty much because after we got married, he was confident enough to tell me, please don't talk anymore while we're banging.
Wow.
He didn't like me to talk. And I like to talk sexy talk.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
get, little role play stuff going on.
Oh, yeah. Why
I
would
didn't
any
know
guy
until
say no to
after
that?
we were married that he hated it.
Was he religious or something? Or
I don't know what was wrong with him. He had issues. I think he needed counseling.
That is a weird
I don't know
request.
what was wrong with him. He hated morning sex, which I love morning sex. He basically just liked very vanilla sex. He didn't talk during sex. He didn't want me to talk during sex. I'm like, this is very boring.
That's
Very
really
boring.
tough to find that about somebody you're married to.
I know, because
Wow,
beforehand,
where are you going to go now?
it was a free for all. But afterward, he admitted that he didn't like it. He also didn't like lingerie.
that is
He's
very
like, don't be wasting
bizarre.
money buying lingerie because I don't even.
That is not a waste of
I
money.
don't even like it. Marcus, do you like lingerie?
I like it off.
It's
Yeah.
unwrapping the present. That's the fun
Right.
part.
Yeah. No, I've taken girls' lingerie shopping. I enjoy it. Yeah.
I mean, it was kind of pressure off that he didn't like lingerie because then I didn't have to worry about spending money on lingerie. But Trucker, he sure does love lingerie. In fact, that man surprised me in Granada with this cute little Mrs. Claus sexy outfit with a
Really?
string bikini under it.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Photos, please.
There are photos. I don't think I'm going to share them. But yes, there was a whole photo shoot. He was very pleased with himself.
Oh, yeah. And then we can definitely do another photo shoot,
And now he's ready to buy me something sexy for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So another thing that I kind of thought of was I was married before, and
How long were you married?
We were together for 12 years. We were married for 6.
Okay.
So that was definitely the longest relationship that I've had. And I obviously look back upon that as to like what qualities enable it to last 12 years. Because obviously that's pretty good. I would say.
In today's measurements, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I heard this in one of the podcasts on YouTube, but it was the idea that for a woman to kind of make herself into a more permanent role in a man's life, one way to do it is, in quotes, be useful to him. I mean, the word useful sounds bad, but it's the idea of working yourself into his life in a way that he depends on you for
Yeah,
certain
we've heard
things.
this before, becoming essential.
Becoming essential, because
Yeah.
once you're essential, it would be a big loss to them in more ways than one to not have you anymore or to get rid of you. And it makes you much harder to replace. So, I mean, it can come in a number of different ways. But when I was married, my ex helped me with my photography business. And that really enabled me to accelerate my career. And in that sense, I mean, she really made herself indispensable in that way. I don't know if there's any particular formula as to how you can do that.
Oh, that's great advice. And I tell this to Alejandro all the time. I need help. There's lots of things that I need help with. If somebody came in and would help me with things, and I have a list of like 50 things, any of these things they could do. If they started knocking those off of my list and I didn't have to worry about them so much, then I would definitely miss that person if they went away.
Yeah.
Do you miss your full-time assistant?
Lily, well, she's still around. I still
I'm really
talk to
just
her.
part-time now, though.
Yeah.
And I really only focus on primarily
podcast.
helping with the podcast. I used to do so much more than that.
I do miss my assistant. And I've talked to a couple people that I've met through Seeking and through the podcast. And I've talked to a couple people about bringing them on. I haven't made a move on it yet, but it's definitely something that I want and need to do. But if I had a sugar baby, Alejandra, who took care of some of those needs.
She says, I help you, sir.
Yeah.
She does help you a lot.
Yeah, no, she does.
Truly does. And she's
Right.
going to school full-time.
I know.
She's a busy girl.
But to Jay's point, though, that is a great way. If you really like that person and you want to see something consistent, there you go.
Become essential, become indispensable.
Become essential to that person. And you're going to find that the relationship will grow too.
Right. Let's say like the person likes traveling and I'm not a great planner. And if the girl happens to be very organized, love researching places to go, finding hotels that are really interesting, doing tours or whatever, do the planning and create the trip that you guys can both benefit. And obviously, if you're planning the trip, you're definitely locking yourself in until like going on the trip. Kind of like what you said earlier, that some people, they'll just ask, I need this, I need this, I need this, I need this. And then there is like nothing that they're bringing forth.
I know.
It freaking gets old.
Yeah, it
fast.
gets very old.
Well, that reminds me of the text that you just sent me, and you asked me if you thought the girl truly needed help or if she was trying to scam you.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about that, because she obviously was asking for big things from you.
Yeah.
And also indicated that you had already given her thousands and thousands of dollars. And I said, okay, Jay, I do feel like she's scamming you, that she needs you to bail her brother out of prison in some foreign country. And
Wait, what? Sorry.
for all these other thousands and thousands of dollars that you've gifted her, what did you get in return?
Well, I mean, this dynamic is definitely, it feels like it's getting to its, maybe winding down for that reason. Because I think for any guy where there's just literally nothing the person is getting in return, it's frustrating to me. But that person obviously has children and parents to take care of. So I understand that part in a logical sense. But then I also look at, in terms of the other people that I'm taking care of, especially like my primary person, that she is very generous and giving. And I compare that to somebody else who is just literally like, gimme, 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 gimme. And there's really no way that there can ever be equitable reciprocity. Then you're just, almost like at a point where you just kind of wonder if it's, if it's workable.
Well, you indicated to me that this was a very one-sided relationship on the giving part. You had given and given and helped and helped and helped.
Right.
And gotten little to nothing in return.
Right. And I think we might not have like a spreadsheet laying out like this person did this for me on this day versus like the money I've given her or whatever. But we all have an inherent checklist in our head. It might be just more of a feel. But I do kind of think that that's one thing that I feel like from the sugar relationships that don't work is when it's very easy for me to do my end, but then I'm not really getting the fulfillment from them as a result.
There's no quid pro quo. Quid pro quo. That's hard for me to say.
The depot is very high.
Yes, the depot is high.
It's like
That's the
1,000 to 0 to
the
1.
dollars expended per orgasm.
Yeah.
Outrageously high.
You're listening to Secrets of a Sugar Daddy. Now back to the show with your host, Marcus.
Another thing that I kind of wanted to mention as what I've seen, that resonated with me is be respectful or be considerate of the sugar daddy's money. Because obviously a sugar daddy that's doing well, he's going to have options. So in all the things that I'm mentioning, the idea is that this man is comparing your situation to all the other situations that he is experiencing. And then the best situation is going to be the one that rises to the top, where he's going to spend more time with that person because it's the most ideal in terms of what he's getting in return versus the investment that he's making. So I'll give you some examples. There was this one girl that I don't know what I was thinking, but I gave her an Amex card. And then she quickly charged, well, not quickly, but like over a few months, charged like $32,000 on it.
Dear God.
And the way that Amex, the site, they don't separate out the cards. You can see the totals easily. So I kind of had to like generate some tax accounting report at the end of my laptop in order to see it. So, but when I saw it, I was like, literally, it just made me kind of angry.
What was she spending money on?
Oh, Nordstrom's.
Oh, God.
Well, honestly, like, I don't really know because they're just charges, When I was married, I'm sure, I didn't even look at my credit card statement. She was mostly in charge of the finance. That's what you want, right? You want to get to a point where the sugar baby is in charge of all the credit cards and like you don't even know how much she's spending. That's the most ideal.
Is it though?
I don't know.
If you can manage it, obviously, or if you're getting something in return, right?
Right.
If it's reciprocal.
Okay.
But I think the idea is that you compare it to how much you're getting versus how much you're giving up. There's just not sustainable. So obviously I ended that pretty quickly, but it's also kind of disappointing because it felt like some of the better sugar situations that I've had, the person is, in some sense, like I said, considerate of the money that's involved. It's not like, oh, I'm going to go nuts on this kind of like pot of gold here and just go to town on it versus like, well, I enjoy this person's company. I appreciate him. And I like to think things for the long term. So I want him to feel that I'm not taking advantage of the situation financially.
That's where Lily she had
Yeah.
a credit card and she would ask.
Exactly.
She's like, hey, is it okay if I put this on there? I'm like, Lily, you gave us go crazy. But she was
No.
very, very considerate.
I would never do that.
Right.
And even with Trucker, I do have an Amex card and I use it a lot. And initially I would always say, is this cool? You know, if it was a small amount, I wouldn't worry about it. But is it cool if I get this or get that? And he's like, you don't need to ask.
Yeah. And
But he knows I'm not going to be frivolous.
exactly.
Yeah, he knows that she's
Exactly.
careful and she still shops frugally.
Right.
And she's not going to go spend $40,000 at Nordstrom's.
Right,
No.
right.
Yeah.
Dear God, there's no life essentials at Nordstrom's. She
Need
wasn't
this.
buying groceries. She wasn't paying her rent. These are not life essentials.
And also to the fact that I think if the sugar baby is very giving in other ways, then $32,000 is probably okay. You know, if you're giving your time, you're giving your life to that person, then that's not really that big of an amount. So I think it really has to do more with what is the reciprocal
Yeah,
balance.
it makes it more palatable if you feel like it's a 50-50, somewhere
Exactly.
around there.
Feels fair.
Yeah, yeah.
It has
I
to
get
kind
it.
of feel fair, you know? So another situation that I've had was I met one sugar baby and we had just a meet and greet and dinner or whatever. And then she pitched this $3,000 PPM.
$3,000?
$3,000.
Had you guys discussed anything up front before
I mean,
you
I
met
was
her?
trying to discuss it. You know, that was pretty much, you know, the conversation.
Wow.
I was like mind blown.
How did you respond when she came up with that amount?
Like, well, good luck.
I'm busy.
I'm busy, yeah.
busy for a while. Obviously, some of these other sugar situations that I've had, just knowing the primary person, that how much I give to her a month. So yeah, you can definitely get more than 3,000 from a sugar daddy. That's not to say that it's impossible, but if you pitch something like that high, you're just blowing yourself out of the water. There's no legs to stand on for you to even start the relationship. Some of the better situations that I've had is like it usually started slow, and it's not like the person is charging like $32K on your credit card or something like that. And you just kind of build a trust and rapport. You want to get to the point where the man cares about you. Because obviously when the man cares about you, he's going to be generous. He wants to take care of you. And so short of that or before then, to kind of have these really, really big numbers, you just literally become too expensive. And the person and the guy's mind is like, no, and that's it. So I feel like there's definitely a tactful way to go about it at the beginning to work yourself into the orbit of the man, obviously by being useful and be considerate of the money he's giving. And I think that once you're able to be very generous to him, a good man, it's going to make sure that you're taken care of as well because you're taking care of his needs. And I feel like in some of my situations, I've definitely ended up being more generous because the other person was generous. I wanted to show I appreciate their care and effort. And I think that those situations, they work really well. You know, those are the transactional relationships where they seem almost invisible because you're just giving and they're giving. So there doesn't have to be this difficult conversation that, well, I already gave you this. I'm kind of tired of it, you know?
Yeah, and I'm thinking about Alejandra's recent surgery. If she had to come up to me in the very beginning and go, well, I want this because I'm going to have a surgery and I want you to pay for this, this, and this, I'd have been, well, good luck, find somebody else. I'm not going to do that. Now, gladly, because she's shown over time
Exactly.
that it has been a very balanced relationship. And now it's like, oh, I want to give this to you.
Right.
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You work into it. You don't
You
just
work
demand
into
it from the very
Exactly.
beginning. And
Not at the
then
beginning.
you're going to find that your sugar daddy is going to get more and more generous over time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
As long as he's happy, then you're going to get what you want, I
Yeah.
feel like.
Yeah, but people that demand it right up front, and that's what we talk about. Girls miss out on these great opportunities because they're so focused on what's in it for me now.
Exactly.
Yeah. My initial allowance from Trucker was very, very low, especially compared to some of the other allowances that I've had prior to him. But I also knew that he wasn't going to be super demanding of my time. So that was okay. I also knew he was just freshly out of a relationship, like a traditional civilian relationship, and that he wanted to kind of date around until he, found somebody compatible. And so that was fine. But it quickly escalated to where that amount went up slightly, but I had a credit card with no limit that I could do whatever I wanted with, which I don't, but I could if I wanted to. So once we decided that we wanted to go exclusive, things changed a lot.
Yeah. And it doesn't happen like on the first date.
But if I had scoffed at his initial offer of, well, I can help you out this much every month, and I'm only going to demand, a small amount of your time. If I had scoffed at that, then
You wouldn't be in the situation you are now.
I wouldn't. I would have never fallen in love with him. I would have never realized that he was my person. It took a while to learn all that. Whereas with Scorpio, he just pushed everything so fast and so hard that if he hadn't been so insistent that we move so quickly and move in together immediately, we would have saved each other a lot of drama, a lot of heartache, because we were never going to be compatible. But he just wanted to force compatibility.
Wow.
And so I learned that he needs somebody who can put up with his quirks and idiosyncrasies. Whereas the more I got to know him, I just felt kind of like I was dealing with something that was very cringy, and I couldn't live my life like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Jay, we're going to have to end it at that. We have run out of time. How long are you in town for?
For another few days, but obviously the weather is so nice here. I'm going to probably be back before you know it.
Well, we're going to all go out to eat tonight at a new restaurant. It's actually by my gym in Tempe. It's called 333. So we'll give them a little bit of shout out. I've heard good things. I actually worked out with the mayor of Tempe today, and he had nothing but good things to say. They just opened, so we're going to enjoy that experience. And then Alejandra and I and Lily and Trucker are all headed to Vegas this weekend. So we're going to be in Las Vegas to do what, Lily?
We're going to be on a podcast called Fargo Talks.
Yeah, so look for information about that. I don't know when that will be released, but it's pretty exciting because he gets a lot of viewers on his podcast. No, it's a video one. So they're going to pixelate Lily.
Yes.
I, on the other hand, will be going on. I've just, fuck it. you can show me. I've been on another one in Vegas and it was fine. I mean, matter of fact, we even got Alejandra on that one.
Marcus is coming out of the closet, coming out of the sugar daddy closet.
So every now and then I do show myself, give our listeners a little tease, but that's going to be really fun. So we look forward to that Vegas weekend, and we're going to do some other things there too. Yeah.
Shows, fine dining.
Yeah. They've got a place there called Tom Colicchio's, what was it, a craft steak.
Craft steak.
And I ate there with a sugar baby that I met in Vegas. Matter of fact, Alejandra met her, loves her, so that's a good thing. But I had the best espresso martini I might have ever had there. And
I'm
the
really
steak was
excited.
amazing too.
I looked up their menu, and they have monkey bread.
Oh, yes.
Do you know what that is?
No.
It's not bread made out of monkey. Although, in Granada, they actually eat monkeys there.
Oh, stop.
Really?
No, they do.
That's not good.
Not everyone, but
They're like people.
I know.
Like little mini
you look
people.
into those little human monkey eyes and go, I'm sorry, somebody's going to eat you. Anyway, no, monkey bread is just like, how would I describe it? Cut up pieces of bread dough covered in gooey cinnamon sugar and pecans. It's so good.
Yep.
Try it.
So anyway, you will get updates on that and lots more. We got lots of great things coming up this year. Jay, we look forward to seeing you at the party.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be another banger. You always have a great time at those.
I almost wish it was like next month.
I know.
Another one the month after.
I
Instead
know.
of having to wait till June,
They're
They
trying
are
to
fun.
kick us out of here, guys.
Uh-oh.
All right, so we've got to run. Anyway, until next time, bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to connect or even be on the show, we'd love to hear from you at secretsofasugardaddy.com.